You probably remember comic Tim Ferguson jumping around on stage as part of the Mad and Bad musical comedy trio, the Doug Anthony All-Stars. He was, he admits, the pretty one. The act was still playing to packed houses in the mid-90s and many wondered why it broke up. Tim Ferguson has only recently revealed he'd been living with the debilitating symptoms of multiple sclerosis, a condition he tried for years to ignore, but is now perhaps inevitably the subject of a new show. Mary Gearan reports.
So the doctor says there is something wrong with your brain. And I said, you've seen my work?
I am a donut! Freedom! Prostrate yourself upon the lino. I am a rhino. I am a rhino. Things could be worse. You could be salmon rusty.
It was in your face and teetering on tasteless. The provocative Doug Anthony All-Stars, Tim Ferguson, Paul McDermott and Richard Fidler, started as a fringe act on Canberra streets and ended touring the world. But unknown to anyone watching, Tim Ferguson was having random physical breakdowns, from crossed eyes to paralysis, among symptoms he'd first noticed at 19.
All right.
There was one time when we were on at the Criterion Theatre in the West End, and my left side of my body had just decided to go to sleep. And so we decided to do the show because I thought, well, you know, I'm a comedian. Who cares that I can't dance, although my liturgical dance is supreme. But none of the fans, there were about 1,500 of them, none of them even noticed that I wasn't dancing well. Just made me think, well, what the hell did I look like before?
It's hard to kind of describe what it's like when you're performing comedy regularly. You're doing things like you're drinking too much, you're staying up too late, you're working too hard. So if things aren't quite right, or you don't feel well or something, or you're tired, that's perfectly normal. There was no indication whatsoever the whole time we were together in the group to me.
Would you call it denial, that you're in denial?
I was in denial that these things were all connected. I just thought I had this weird body that occasionally went AWOL or hurt all day or just, you know, tilted to the side every once in a while for no particular reason.
As is typical for many people hit with erratic symptoms in the prime of their lives, the condition was hard to diagnose and easy to ignore. But after a 15-year-long setup, the punchline finally came. A diagnosis of relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis.
I didn't know what it was. He said, you've got multiple sclerosis, and I had to say, what is that? It was good to know that all these symptoms had a name. I came to acceptance in about 5 minutes because, you know, I had a show to do that night. There was no time to be running around screaming, woe is me! The bells, the bells.
He's not one for self-pity, Tim. He's not like that at all. He's a really very lovely man, Tim, and he wouldn't really want anyone to feel sorry for him.
Look, the building's surrounded! The building is...
Did you not want to be seen as having MS in some way?
Certainly by, you know, television executives. I didn't want television executives to know this. You know what they're like. Television executives spend half their life patting themselves on the back and the other half in sheer total paranoia that they're about to be sacked. And the last thing they want is to be sold a concept starring a celebrity who says, by the way, my brain could explode at any second. Despite the fact that anybody's brain can explode at any second, or at least their head can fall off.
Even after he was diagnosed, he waited before telling some of his closest friends, like fellow performer Neil Piggott.
I was obviously shocked. You just think, why Ferg? Of all the people, why Tim, you know? The thing I love about the guy is that he's eternally optimistic, you know? I think when you first meet Ferg, you think that can't be real. You can't possibly be that optimistic, you know? It comes on as some sort of a front, but that's the way the guy is.
Okay, I know how it works. Do we do credit cards or what?
Being personally revealing on stage isn't something we ever did as a comedy group. So to do something like that, yeah, it's a very brave step, and it's something I don't think he's ever done in any of his writing or work before.
The first time when I was 19 that I had an attack, my eyes went crossed, completely crossed, like, you know, da-da-da-da-da, crossed. And Everybody else was a little bit panicked by this. Nobody knew what it was. I didn't know what it was. And I said, no, this is not going to be a problem. I'm supposed to be a comedian. Then I fell on my face.
Now he's smashed his own sense of privacy for laughs in a show called Carry a Big Stick in this year's Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
It's a directorial metaphor for this show. I've never seen him sort of upset about it. If anything, he saw it, and this is a weird thing to say, like almost as a new opportunity.
Are you, or have you ever been angry at the MS?
No. I figure, what's the point? It's like the weather. It's like walking outside and shouting at the sky because it's raining. Damn you clouds, damn you. Nobody does that. There's no point in getting angry, because angry is the precursor to whinging, and I'm not very good at whinging. It's either the end of the story in a sitcom.
Tim Ferguson has 20% capacity in one leg and he says his left hand gets tired. But his MS hasn't stopped him working. He teaches comedy at RMIT, has written a comedy manual, is writing another book, about to make a movie and tour with the show. But he has no desire to teach anyone about MS.
Not at all. I have no particular desire to go and change the world and raise awareness. Most of the time, no one can tell anyway. Even if I wore a T-shirt saying, I have MS, it wouldn't really make any difference, because people would say, oh, you're funny, that's dark. It's great the way you make it so real.
Are you frightened in any way about the future?
Not in any way. For the same reason, we could worry about what the weather's going to be tomorrow. Or we can just wait and find out.
A long way from the streets of Canberra and a long way yet to go.